Hello and welcome to Global Policy Forum's weekly podcast. In Iraq, a successful appeal by Prime Minister Maliki, citing allegations of vote fraud during the March 7 election, has resulted in an Iraqi court ordering a partial recount of 2.5 million votes cast in Baghdad. Despite statements from the US Embassy and the UN that balloting was carried out in a credible fashion, Maliki supporters accuse the CIA and the State Department of working to help former Prime Minister Alawi, a long-time US intelligence asset. The court decision is likely to postpone the certification of election results and delay the seating of Parliament, which was anticipated for early June. In UN Security Council news this week, Iran has launched a diplomatic offensive in response to the US drive to impose punitive sanctions against Tehran. Iran will be using the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty meeting in New York next month to gather support from developing countries. Iran accuses Western governments of hypocrisy for blocking Iran's right to enrich uranium, while flouting their own obligations under the treaty. As a signatory to the NPT, Tehran argues that it is legally entitled to the full fuel cycle nuclear program for civilian purposes. The implementation of Security Council targeted sanctions could be improved if UN panel findings were given greater consideration by the United Nations, according to a study by the Stimson Centre. UN panels of experts are small, civilian, fact-finding teams appointed by the UN Security Council to monitor the effectiveness of targeted sanctions. However, the valuable information which these experts produce often does not translate into Security Council action. In social and economic policy this week, the World Bank, in a recent report, acknowledged that vast tracts of agricultural land in low-income countries are being swallowed up by government and private investors in a new wave of land grabbing. Despite the risks of these investments to global food security, the World Bank proposed rules to legitimise the alienation of land from small producers. In response, FIAN and La Via Campesina have written an open letter opposing the World Bank's plan, which Global Policy Forum has signed. Yesterday was Earth Day, which draws attention to climate policy and energy efficiency. 1.7 million tonnes of greenhouse gases were produced by the UN in 2008. This highlights the need for improved interagency cooperation, as well as a more sustainable management practice within the UN to reduce emissions. The emissions profile of the UN is equivalent to 3.3% of the carbon footprint of New York City, though this is likely to decline at the completion of the Capital Master Plan. For insight and analysis on these stories and more, visit our website at globalpolicy.org. You can also follow us on Twitter.